Dream chasers and passion pursuers, welcome to the Passion to Purpose podcast, where we explore the incredible journeys of individuals who have turned their passions into successful businesses, nonprofits, movements, and side hustles. I'm Misha, your host, with over 20 years experience in the nonprofit sector, experience as a licensed real estate agent and mortgage loan originator. I've had the privilege of working with so many amazing people who have followed their hearts and changed the world. And now I'm bringing their stories to you.
Shameka Jackson is a dedicated author, speaker, and publishing consultant. She is the founder and owner of Call to Write Publishing and Consulting and is known for her work as a multi-time best-selling author. With a strong faith and commitment to sharing her testimonies, she has appeared on various Christian broadcasting networks and was featured in the documentary A Woman's Journey.
So thank you so much, Shameka, for joining us today. We are excited to learn about you and what you have going on in your passionate pursuit. Do you mind telling us a little bit of the audience about yourself and some of the passionate pursuits that you're pursuing?
Yes, my name is Shameka Jackson, of course, and one of the things that I'm very passionate about is writing. And I can tell you that I started writing from a very young age, and it came from just a desire to just sit by myself and to let my imagination flow. So I started doing that, and that continued to grow and grow more into like short stories and poems, and I ended up writing my own book. And so that's one of my favorite things to do is to write. And I also love helping others, birth their stories as well. Outside of writing, I am a mother. I have a 10-year-old son. I also have a 19-year-old sister who you can say is my daughter because I literally raised her since she's been like, I think 11. And from a small town, I'm a small town girl, but I always say I have big city dreams. So I never try to limit myself. Even though I'm from a small town where it's literally nothing here, I always think about what I can do. And I try to confine myself to just the statistics of this small town. But I'm a person who's very passionate about writing, and I believe that every person has a story that needs to be heard, no matter how, traumatic or just detrimental it may be. We all have a story that can encourage other people. So I live my life trying to be a beacon of hope and light to others so that they can be that same beacon of light and hope to others as well.
Awesome. So what was that moment like when you decided or discovered that you could turn what you were passionate about into like a career pursuit or a venture?
I would be at work, even before I started working, I would just find time to sit with myself and just write. Every time I would go into a store, I would either buy a notebook or a journal. So I just started writing, and the more and more I wrote, the more I saw how gifted I was. And it even turned into me being able to read some of my writings to my church audience. And I was like very nervous to do that, but that's when I realized, oh, this is something you have been called to do, because the feedback that I got from my church members, they were like, this is good. You asked me all kind of questions, and I was like, well, I didn't think it was that good, but I started realizing you have a gift. You could do something with this. And that was literally after my first book was birthed. And after my first book, I really started discounting my gift because I didn't get the feedback that I wanted, but I don't think that should ever be a determining factor on how gifted you are. Some people may not be able to relate to your story, and that's okay. But that doesn't mean you just sit down and just don't do anything else with your gift. So I kind of did that for a while. So when I got to the place where I was writing and reading in front of my church, it kind of sparked a fire in me, and it's been growing ever since. And I joined an anthology, I think it was in 2015. It's just been going. When I just been finding myself, putting my hands to so many things. I even volunteered to write for certain Christian communities. I've blogged. I've had so many opportunities. So I try not to just put myself in a box. Use your gift because, like I said, it can be helpful to other people. So that's what I do.
And that kind of leads me to another question, because you mentioned facing some doubt, and when it comes to pursuing passions and entrepreneurship and such, we all suffer from, well, a lot of us, myself included, suffer from imposter syndrome, feeling like things are not good enough or having to have things to a certain place before I'm ready to move forward. And then I just have used that as an excuse in the past to just sit in this planning phase forever if I don't push myself forward. So what are some of the other struggles that you faced when you did decide to pursue it as a venture?
Well, yeah, doubt definitely came, fear came, And also, I did face imposter syndrome as well because I was trying to find myself, my actual place in the writing sphere because there's so many people and I wanted to write like other people, but
Mhm.
when they came to a place where this don't even sound like me. So I had to really like get in tune with myself and be like, this is how you write. You're not the same as other people. You have a voice. Your voice is unique. It's not going to correlate or either line up and parallel with other people and their voice. That's why God gave you a voice because you have
Mhm.
to use your voice, not somebody else's. You can't copy other people. You have to be your most authentic self. So I started doing that and that helped. And I also faced writer's block a whole lot.
Yeah.
And I would say in the midst of writing, I would be so excited. I would pen my thoughts and then I'll go back and try to read over it and nothing made sense. And I knew that was an attack of the enemy. And then from there, I wouldn't know what else to write.
Mm.
So in addition to facing imposter syndrome, fear, doubt, I also worried about how others would receive my writing.
Mm.
Like I said, a lot of people are not going to gravitate to your style or what you write about. And I
Mm.
had to really get over that because I was limiting myself because of their thinking about their opinion. So I stepped beyond that, but it wasn't easy because in the back of my mind, every time I wrote something, I was thinking, how are they going to perceive this? What are they going to think? How are they going to later look at me? And so it took a while to get out of it because I always wanted, I'm gonna say back then, I wanted validation from my family, the people I was connected to,
Mhm.
even my readers. I wanted them to provide the best feedback ever, even if they didn't agree with what I was writing. But I do know that when it comes to utilizing your gifts, you're not going to always receive the best feedback because people may have different worldview. See, they may have different belief systems, so many things that may differ from how you perceive things. So it's okay to receive that. I would say that what's the word I'm looking for? Lord have mercy, brain for. But just receive that criticism from them. It's okay. So I got beyond that, but it also helped me to understand like in this journey, we're gonna have these moments where we're gonna question, we're gonna doubt, we're gonna have fear. But it's in those moments that we gird ourselves up and keep going forward because we don't need to stop. God wants us to use
Right.
what we have to continue to go forward. So it's been a journey, but I think that as believers, we really have to have things set in place. So when we face those challenges, we'll know how to use them and how to be able to move forward.
And I will say too, that's one of the biggest struggles is like we're all sitting on gifts and talents. And the thing that separates those of us that utilize them and use them and those that don't are those things that you mentioned: fear, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough, worried about what others are going to think. Now, the material that you alluded to, your faith, and the material that you write about, do you think that plays a part in your fear of how people will receive what you have written?
Yes, yes, because I
Yeah.
have a lot of people in my family who are not believers,
Mhm.
and as a little girl, I always wanted my family to be my biggest cheerleaders. But over the years, I've seen like, that's not the case. It's not going to be the case, but you continue to go forward. And that has been one of the biggest struggles because we don't see eye to eye. I have family members who have different faiths. Um, they may be Muslim or even atheists. You get the harshest criticism from atheists. So it's like, either way it goes, I'm going to get some type of criticism from them. So just go forth. But it makes a big difference though.
It does. And what actionable steps did you take to get over or continue to take to get over obstacles as they come into your way?
For one, praying has helped me so much because I know that when we pray, we get strength from God. I also started doing affirmations. I used to have affirmations on my mirror in my bathroom where I could just recite them to myself, and I started really gravitating. Well, that I'm allowing them to just sink deep within me, and I believed what I was speaking. So
Right.
that helped me, and also reading scriptures. I also had to go through a time where I had to stop being dependent upon other people's opinions. I had to set boundaries. So many things I had to do because I think, for one, I learned that I was a people pleaser. So I wanted to do whatever I could to be able to get the approval of other people. So I had to go through deliverance, honey. There was a lot of healing that had to take place. But really, I think the main things that I utilized to help me were the word of God, prayer, and those affirmations.
I know you mentioned like me, your mom, and I also have younger siblings too. Call myself junior mom. I have a brother and sister twins that are 14 years younger than me. So although they've never been in my custody, I used to, keep them. How do you balance? Because you have your hands on a lot of things. I know you travel, you're doing, books and speaking engagements. How do you balance motherhood and, and doing all of these things that you have going on?
Well, to be it is when I do have free time, I try to get my son to spend as much time as I can with him. I plan trips, for us to go out of state just to have, that bonding time. But my sister, she's up in age, so we don't really hang out like we used to, but she will go to some of my out of state trips if need be. But yeah, working it's a lot. But the main thing I try to do, I try to take a drive every day to kind of clear my mind from everything that's going on because yeah, I do have quite going on and I'm still, trying to find balance in it all. But I truly believe that I will find it better because I know when it's overwhelming, I tend to just want to stop everything, but I know I can't do that. So yeah, I'm gonna have to really find a way to balance everything out.
Oh, it's a constant struggle. I'm struggling with that every day. Some days I win and some days I don't. I just stop. Some days I think you need to just stop and allow yourself to be like, you know what, I need to shut down so I can actually be more productive tomorrow or next week or whatever it is, however amount of time it is that you need. And now if you could go back, like say to your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself about your passions and your purpose?
20-year-old self. So because around 20, what was I doing? Oh, okay, college. However, my whole mindset. So I would tell myself to, make sure I hone in on the gifts that are on the inside of me. So long, I wanted to be a replica of people. I had an issue with my most authentic self. So I did things that weren't true to the nature of who I am. So I would say focus yourself, focus on the things that you like. Because I'm in my 30s now, and it's like I'm still figuring out the things that I like, other people like that I thought that I should like. But now I'm getting to a place where like, yes, I really like this. So I would say really focus on yourself, get to know chase, every chase out here because some of these things that end to dead ends. But focus on what you're passionate about, what you really believe in, what are your hobbies because
in the passion, it's in the things that you do all the time, it's in the things you do for free, it's a free time thinking about that you spend your free time doing. And a lot of times where your purpose is, and sometimes you're able to monetize your purpose, and sometimes I believe that your purpose may be just to gift, just to give to the world or just to give to others. And so you can actually work a 9 to 5 and still be, your purpose because, again, like I said, purpose is something that you just do all the time. It's what you're passionate about. And so I like to tell people that because I think of a struggle with like, I'm still trying to figure life out, trying to figure out what I'm doing, what I like, who I am, and for my purpose. Like I've even paid others to help me go through like exercises of discovering my purpose, which is a good practice. People are excellent at just helping out things, but a lot of times it's like you said, getting in touch with you, who you are, what you like to do, and being your authentic self. So I want our time talking about some of the projects and things that are going on. Some of the books you have going on right now, how we can find your work and support the work that you're currently working on. So can you tell a bit about some of the projects you have going on right now?
Yes, so we just released the Shattered Hearts and Winning Souls, our stories of triumph and survival, or survival and triumph. That's the anthology that's released. And I'm currently working on a book called Finish Her. It's actually a 14-day devotional. It kind of coincides with the conference theme that I have going on. I believe that God has called us to be finishers. That means that what He has called us to do, we're able to finish it out, before we're able to work in it and have it completed when He comes. We have to constantly work towards everything He's gifted to us, every assignment He has entrusted to us. So I believe that we are called to be finishers. That means not putting down those assignments, not giving them off to other people, but to really go forth and doing and completing those. So this devotion is for women who feel like they may be in a stuck it will give them a boost that they need to pick up those things, even if they have, just say forget, the will of God, forget these assignments because it's too much. It's like this is going to be a picker upper to help them to be empowered to go forth in the things of God. So that's the devotional. And there is, honey, a Finish Her Planner Journal Part 2 that's coming out in January 1.
Okay.
And it includes to December. So it's basically a planner journal where you have the opportunity to plan out your goals, even the things that God called you to do. It helps you to focus in on those things and also establish SMART goals so that you can complete those. It gives you a time to reflect, to even journal, to track your progress. I mean, it's really neat. And I feel like it will be beneficial for me because I know sometimes I get off track and I have everything written down in so many places that when it's time to really figure out what I need to do, I'm searching, but everything in this book is like all of it is just inspiration quotes, scriptures, affirmations. I just love it. I love the idea that, God gave me to birth it. So I'm pushing for that. I want to do that every year and have like a different theme for each one. So the first one, which is part 1, is called Embrace Your Journey. So it gives little I'd say nuggets and letters from me in the and the end to help them to embrace their journey. Like why is it important to embrace your journey? And I have like different steps, different subtopics and also scriptures that comes with it. So it's really neat. That's what I'm working on part 2 now. And it's book project anthology titled Voices Crying Out. And this is more like a clarion call for us to be able to speak what God is saying in this time, because we know that the earth is so much going on in the world today. And we got people that are lost. There are people who are just, straddling the fence. We have people, who just need hope. And I believe this anthology would be the thing that people would need, or we can present to people that would help them to be in alignment with what God is saying and also doing in this season, or in this dispensation in time. So I'm always about pointing others to Christ, because I believe at the end of the day, the things that we turn to, in those moments of weakness, like for me, I used to turn to pain pills until I got delivered. And it's like getting, having a relationship with Christ, it helps us to be able to run to Him first and all the source. He's the answer. So this book is all my books are really to point others back to Christ, because at the end of the day, He has everything that we need. There's nothing to provide. Right. So I just want others to know that, Jesus is no matter what you're facing, no matter what you're struggling with, answer. So those are the projects I'm working on. And who knows what's going to come out. I really want to do a Christian fiction novel based upon love. And when I say love, it's more so of two people coming, but not only come together, finding love within them, within the, their union, but also finding Christ. Like Christ is the center of the story. Okay. So yeah, I want to. So I actually started years ago, and I just haven't finished it. So.
Okay. So you talked about journaling, and I'm also a person who has a bunch of books. Often I do not finish them. I don't know what it is. I've never used every page in any notebook. I have like 10 of them under my desk here. And a lot of people get away from actually the exercise of writing, of taking pen to paper. And so like when you mentioned journals, people are like, oh, there's an app for that. You can electronic version. And I think there is a place for some electronic stuff, but I find that even if I put something like Google Docs or in some other OneNote or some other place, there's something about the activity, and it does something in my brain when I like put the pen to paper. And I just think, there's value in those journals. There's value in an actual written document that's walking you through journey, or walking you through a project, or walking you just through goals, or just thoughts, whatever, journaling, having that pen and that paper. And like, I don't know, it's like you're doing it twice. You're looking at it and you're writing it. So instead of just like aimlessly typing, it's writing it to your brain. At least that's my opinion, right? This is not a scientific. I'm sure there is some science to what I'm saying. There is some activity of writing. So I just encourage people to journals. Those journals are speaking specifically to some of the struggles that some of the obstacles you have in the way. And like for me, so when you said finish her, I'm like, ooh, because I'm a completer, not always a finisher. And I think there's a difference, like, I will get things done out of obligation things and not complete them. But I think the difference between like just completing tasks and like finishing it is when you set out to meet an exact goal and it's purposeful and you start from the beginning and you see a clear end that is, purpose driven versus just I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think those journals, I just encourage people to look into your journals, or journals that speak to their faith specific, that will walk them through some of these things that they going on. I definitely plan to check out your finisher. Love the idea of having a first half and a second half, and that might actually help me trick my mind into, because I'll finish the first quarter and then, I'll be accountable to getting the sum. And so you did talk about your book projects and like how do people find you? How do they find your work? How can they support your work? Do you have any in-person events that show up to?
Oh yes, right now. So we actually have the finisher conference this Saturday in Carmichael, and that's probably something I feel like the Lord is going to have me do something every year.
Okay.
Because the first conference I had, it had a similar thing, but it was titled.
Mhm.
So I think that yeah, he's probably gonna have me do a year. In addition to that, that's the only in-person event that I have right now.
Okay.
But I do here coming soon. I will be offering like online courses to help people with developing their stories and also yeah, I think the main thing with that was to help develop the story so that they got their works. Because I do know
Mhm.
there is also I just released an ebook to help others with writer's block. So when I think about something I struggle with, I'm pretty sure other people have struggled with the same thing or they are struggling with it. So I try to make sure I provide those resources to help them.
Mhm.
Outside of that, they can find me on social Facebook. I am Shameka Jackson and also called Publishing and Consulting. Instagram is Shameka N. Also called to write. And yeah, those are the two main platforms that I'm on right now.
Awesome. And what I actually wanted to ask you about, and I skipped right over it, is so I have, because I am a part of that anthology, The Shattered Hearts and Wounded Souls, and I really value the community that you on the project. Can you speak to a little bit about the importance of creating community?
Yes, I've been in project work and I've always wanted to have like a connection with, the other writers. Because I feel like it helps keeps us encouraged. You can motivate each other. And it's also about connecting with like-minded people, getting to know them because I think that we all have something that we can offer other people. And, just diving in, connecting, we can see what each other, you're into, what do you do for a living, so that we can be a, help to each one because not only that, I have struggled with connecting with women. People may not believe that, but I have had a struggle because I hurt years ago
Yeah.
by, women that it kind of pushed me away from wanting to connect. So in my effort to not allow that to keep me from developing connections, I push myself to connect with other women because I feel hindrance because that's something they did. That doesn't mean that, every woman is going to do the same thing. So, and I
Right.
have found some valuable, relationships. And even, this past weekend, I traveled out of state because I met it was 3 women I met last year.
Mhm.
Well, I met 2 last year at just a conference when I was a retreat, and we've been connected ever since. And it's like when we first met, we were sisters, so we
Right.
still, connect. But yeah, I think it's very important. We got to stay connected and get to know one another because I think we should, develop those connections.
Oh, absolutely. I found that like you, I struggle with trust issues with, trusting other women because I gossip and you're in circles and they gossip about the person that isn't present. And so anyway, I would avoid those connections. And lately, I've started to re-engage with communities, whether it be, women business professional groups or Black individual mortgage or whatever it is. And it's a healing practice actually, like just going through like still knowing that I'm not the most trusting, but still pursuing these things anyway. And then, allowing myself to be pleasantly surprised that that I fear the most are not even present. Probably more than one a year, but definitely annually. And so people need to look out for that event. So but just thank you so much.